Fran Townsend is with us. She is our CBS News senior national security analyst. She was Homeland Security and Counterterrorism advisor for President George W. Bush. Welcome, Fran. What are investigators trying to find out from the shooter?
Well, they want to understand both his mental history. We know that there was this report from a video blogger on YouTube back in September identifying Cruz to the FBI. Difficult, when I say identifying, he identified the comment. He was interviewed, the video blogger asked if he knew him. He said no, he didn't know him. This was reported to YouTube and they took it down. But it points to a host of issues, John. So for one, we don't think, when we think of Homeland Security, we think of terrorism issues, we think of natural disasters. We don't think of school shootings. And, you know, right now, when you think of this, you know, this is the 18th school shooting this year. Last year, this time we had 7.
Should we rethink Homeland Security? Because it sure feels like terrorism to me. It hurts as badly. It's just as terrible. Do we need to rethink what Homeland Security really means?
I think that's exactly right, Gayle. I mean, imagine for a moment if the shooter had been a Muslim. We'd have been having a different conversation. That's exactly right. And how wrong does that feel, right? And so this ought to be at the top of the list of Homeland Security threats, because we have an obligation to protect our children. And we need to deal, even though it's a difficult political issue, it's time for people to put that aside and really say we're going to deal with it.
I'm also interested in the assault rifle that he used, an AR-15, which can cost about $2,000. That's a lot for a 19-year-old working at a dollar store. But also the AR-15 has been used in 6 of the deadliest mass shootings in this country. Aurora, Newtown, San Bernardino, Las Vegas, the Pulse shooting in Orlando, Sutherland Springs. Do we need to have some changes at the ATF and others about who can buy this type of weapon?
You know, look, Norah, you know better than anybody, there's been these debates in Washington about putting these restrictions. The NRA says that's a slippery slope. You begin down that path. People ought to remember that this was the assault rifle was really intended for military use, right? I think of that from my time in government as being a weapon used by the U.S. military overseas. We understand that law enforcement, people in uniform, have an absolute need for it. But this is a debate. Look, we had an assault weapons ban. It expired. And the politicians in Washington don't seem to be willing to continue to have that debate.
Should a 19-year-old who has been kicked out of school be able to buy that gun?
No.
That's the question.
So the one other issue I wanted to raise this morning is the social media companies. Look, in this case, YouTube did take that comment down when it was identified to them.
And just to clarify, that comment, exactly what he said in there is he said, I'm going to be a professional shooter.
Right. And so they took that down, but they need to do more, right? They need to provide resources, people who go hunting on their networks, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where they find this stuff. They don't just take it down, they take it down and report it to law enforcement so we can try and prevent these things before they happen.
Well, the man who saw it said he showed it to the FBI and that he was interviewed, but where did it go from there? Did anybody follow up with this Nicholas Cruz?
Right. Well, we don't know, and you don't know if they actually were able to identify him from, you know, Nicholas Cruz is a common name. Could they identify him? Could they find him and interview him? Did they understand he had other social media accounts that might have triggered even more concern?
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.